the raid on Mar-a-Lago. And what we're finding out is the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago in plain clothes, that they had a backup deal for any trauma or any casualties in case I guess a firefight started. Why would you send in plainclothes cops into a protected security Secret Service area and then have a trauma center and medic standing by in case there was casualties, unless you were expecting to have casualties? If you send plainclothes armed cops towards Secret Service agents without them knowing it, what do you expect would happen? So the left is saying, oh, Trump and others on the right have claimed that this was an attempt to create a situation which could then spiral out of control and create a firefight with casualties. The left is saying, "Oh, you're way off base with this. You crazy conspiracy theorists. You guys are, making up drama where there is none." Well, I have a very easy way to prove who's right and who is wrong. When you look at the past, Trump has made some statements that at first people thought were crazy. After he won the presidential election, the first thing he tweeted was that the FBI was surveilling him. And the media went crazy, lefties went crazy. Oh no, that's crazy. That's just pure crazy talk. Then we come to find out that it was true. Then other things that he said, he mentioned that China had released a certain thing, and again the media went crazy, lefties went crazy. Oh no, that's just, oh God, he's just such a racist. Then we're starting to find out that he was right with that. Over and over again, President Trump has said things that the media has attacked, lefties have attacked, but then we come to find out it's true. Trump doesn't lie. He can't lie. If he lies, it'll ruin his base. So he tells the truth, and then what happens is when people are finding out later that he tells the truth, they're like, wow, okay, this guy, maybe he's telling the truth. So this is how we're going to prove that Trump is that Mar-a-Lago was an attempt on creating casualties. He is saying that it was an attempt on his life. I am tempted to believe him. Everything else he has said has come to be true. Who are we going to believe? Are we going to believe Trump? Or are we going to believe the reporters at the Washington Post, who is owned by Jeff Bezos, who in turn is owned by the CIA? So I'm getting to the point where if Trump says that it's true, then I believe him. We haven't caught him in a lie yet. The media doesn't want this information to get out, so of course they're going to say it's crazy. So today we're going to watch and react a video by Tim Pool. I think I have been sent this. I've been told a little bit about it, and we're going to react to it and see what Tim Pool says.
It's the bombshell story you probably heard about last night, that the FBI, when they conducted the surprise raid on Mar-a-Lago over classified documents, had been authorized to use deadly force. Not only this, but they were instructed to wear plain clothes, unmarked, and hide that they were law enforcement. Now we are getting the big debate. Some people on the right saying, no way, this is standard protocol. It's not that big of a deal. The corporate press saying basically the same thing. There was no effort to cause harm to the president. And then you have, Dan Bongino, who actually was in the Secret Service and is saying, no way. This is anything but standard. Unprecedented. Marjorie Taylor Greene says that Biden was planning to assassinate Trump. A very bold claim. But I wouldn't say personally that I think their intention was purely to take out Trump. But I think it was part of the, well, if it happens, right? Conduct a raid, authorize deadly force, unmarked police, and if Trump shows up, we don't know. Now, Trump wasn't there. And that's important because I want to go through this debate people are having. And I will just start by saying standard protocol. There is no standard protocol for conducting a surprise raid on the home of a former president. As Dan Bongino also points out, it's a protected place by the Secret Service. So what surprise raid are you doing? That's right. They wanted to conduct a surprise raid, and according to the Washington Post, Trump was unaware. Here's what's fascinating. Now the Washington Post has written the most insane story, placating everything, saying in order to make sure things were calm, they showed up unmarked. One of the most insane things I've heard. You show up to a man's home in plain clothes with guns, and what do you think happens? Now, there are people who are like, yeah, but Tim, it's standard protocol. Not for a president. It's all unprecedented. You don't do it. It's got to be done in different ways. But this is the fascinating case right now. In the event, and I will stress this, Julie Kelly pointing out that in their operational documents, they had a contingency plan for the arrival of Donald Trump. I've been to Mar-a-Lago. I went there a couple weeks ago. First time I'd ever been there. I'll tell you this. They have security. Okay, we were there when the president was there. And so Secret Service was there as well. You can't just walk in. You will be stopped by security. If you are in plain clothes with a gun and try going past security, you're opening the door to some real messed up stuff. Okay. They say, well, Trump wasn't there. Is this a joke? Trump has family. Trump's family could be there. And they authorize deadly force. You want to have a surprise raid against a former president? You are conducting an unprecedented move. And what you do then is, in your operational documents is, this is the former president under Secret Service protection. No law enforcement shall be armed. There will be no authorization for the use of force in any way. That's it. In fact, according to the Washington Post, last year, discussing the story, several FBI agents wanted just that. They said, no raid, just call the man and we will set up a time. Prosecutors were like, no, storm in, guns a-blazing with no warning. You know what I think? I don't know that they wanted to kill Trump. I think that they were more likely hoping for a shootout in which they could say January 6th all over again. They could say Donald Trump's security have opened fire on law enforcement. And then could you imagine Joe Biden being like, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump had security guards shooting at FBI. We come on, man. They wanted to up the ante. I think they're hoping for it. Marjorie Taylor Greene makes wild claim Biden was planning to assassinate Trump. A new court filing unsealed on Tuesday in the Trump classified documents case revealed federal agents were prepped to use deadly force when executing the raid. Greene, a devoted Trump ally, reacted to the news furiously, suggesting that President Biden, his DOJ, and the FBI were prepared to kill his predecessor. I don't remember exactly how I framed it, but I think mine was that they were trying to incite a conflict or a civil war or something like that. Let me see. I want to make sure what I posted. Unmarked FBI armed and ready to use lethal force at Mar-a-Lago against Trump. It was either an attempt to kill Trump or incite civil war, maybe both. I would say now, based on the fact that perhaps you can't convey enough information on X. I'd actually walk that back a little bit because they had a contingency plan for Trump's arrival and, maybe a bit hyperbolic. I think that's fair. But I do think that the general idea is they wanted a conflict, and I stand by the Civil War part. You know I would, and I'll tell you why. You show up to Mar-a-Lago, FBI agents, Trump security, Secret Service, or whatever, open fire because unmarked, unannounced law enforcement. It's dudes in khakis with guns raiding your property, and we saw what happened with Ashley Babbitt, right? It is well known on the left that cops may just shoot somebody. Now, when it came to Ashley Babbitt, what did they say? Well, she was an insurrectionist. She shouldn't have been there. If a guy in khakis and a polo shirt with a gun is walking through Mar-a-Lago with his gun drawn, you think the security guard's going to be like, time to figure out who this guy is? And then what happens? Let's say Trump security opens fire on this guy. Media reports shootout. Trump personnel in a shootout with FBI to stop them from searching the property. What do you think happens to this country? Let's do this. We'll go to the debate. The debate about whether or not it's real, and I'm gonna break it all down for you because I think people are wrong. This is an unprecedented move, and you know what I want to say is, when you plan a surprise raid on a former president, unmarked with guns and the authorization for use of deadly force, I don't know exactly what you're hoping to get out of it, but it sounds like you could get violence out of it. Whether that is the loss of Trump's life, should he arrive, because they had a contingency plan for that, or, as I described, inciting mass chaos and reporting nationally some kind of, oh, Trump's people are shooting at feds. Here we go. Hannah Knowles, who's a liar, says a former president falsely accusing a successor and rival of posing a threat to his life is without precedent in modern U.S. history. This is not a news article. This is an opinion piece from the Washington Post, unlabeled as opinion. Trump email falsely says Biden was locked and loaded to take me out. Actually, that's a fact. Biden's DOJ were authorized, locked and loaded to take out Trump. That's a fact. How are they saying it was false? Because they are liars. I am not saying I can tell you definitively they wanted to kill Trump. What I am saying is the Biden DOJ authorized the use of deadly force at Trump's property for which Trump may have arrived. They didn't know. So, yes, that's true. A former president falsely accusing. These people are evil. Wait till you see this. Donald Trump on Tuesday falsely claimed in a campaign fundraising email that Biden was locked and loaded, ready to take me out during the Mar-a-Lago raid for classified documents, an extraordinary distortion of a standard FBI policy on the use of deadly force during such operations. Wait, hold on. So the opening paragraph admits the FBI standard policy was to be locked and loaded and ready to take out the individuals that they were encountering. Sounds like Trump told the truth. Trump appeared to be referring to a law enforcement document released Tuesday in court filings in the document's case that describes the FBI's plans for a court-authorized search on August 8th, 2022 at Mar-a-Lago. FBI agents recovered classified material from Trump, blah, blah, blah. We get it. And they say one page in the document includes a policy statement on the use of deadly force, which says officers may resort to lethal force only when the subject of such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to an officer or another person, which again proves the point. This is what we've been talking about. Showing up unmarked. Wait till you see this. You're going to laugh. Trump, the presumptive GOP nominee for president, and some of his allies suggested Tuesday, this was evidence that Biden's DOJ was prepared to fatally shoot him. Yes. In fact, Trump was not at his Florida property the day of his search, except, as Julie Kelly points out, let me see if I can find the... Julie Kelly says they had a contingency plan for the arrival of F. POTUS. They will be prepared to engage with F. POTUS and USSS security team. What's up, Washington Post? They were prepared for Trump to be there, knowing they would be arriving authorized to use lethal force. What do you think happens? Secret Service pulls up, not knowing what's going on. Guys in polo shirts with guns are guns drawn or out. Or who knows what they're doing? You think Secret Service is going to be like, howdy there, mister? What you doing? Or do you think they're going to draw their weapon and say, on the ground now, drop the weapon, drop the weapon? And then the law enforcement agent says, don't move. What do you think could happen? Choosing a day when Trump was not at the property, despite the fact that a contingency plan, I'll add. A former president, I love this, falsely accusing a successor and rival of posing a threat to his life is without precedent in U.S. modern history. The comments mark a sharp escalation of Trump's baseless attacks. This is not a news report. This is remarkable. Washington Post running opinions as if it's news. Amazing. Trump has frequently accused Biden of weaponizing legal. Let me tell you this. I'll give you the raw facts. FBI was authorized to use lethal force in their Mar-a-Lago raid, a surprise raid on the Trump properties. They chose a date when Trump was not there, but had a contingency plan should he arrive. Officers were instructed to conceal that they were law enforcement. Thank you and have a nice day. That's the news. Now, my opinion is they knew what this was leading to. The Washington Post is now, it's not even opinion, it's just lies, outright lies. Here we go. I love this. Let me find the, there's a really great point where in this article, let me see if I can, I think this said plain. No. Did they get rid of it? Let me try and find it. Basically, they may have gotten rid of it. There's a part in this where she writes, they were even dressed down, to avoid a confrontation. And I thought it was in the beginning, but maybe it's near the end. Let's see if we can find it. I'll just read the whole thing. So FBI agents got approval from a federal magistrate judge in Florida to search Mar-a-Lago. Oh, here we go. I got it. After months of efforts to get Trump to hand over the documents. Agents also arrived in deliberately casual outfits to lower their profile, khakis and polo shirts, to comb the area and left with more than 100 classified documents. In deliberately casual outfits to lower their profile. I mean, they were trying to avoid conflict. Is it a joke? Breonna Taylor. Duncan Lemp, I think his name was. We know the stories of what happens. Now, the Breonna Taylor story, her boyfriend opened fire on the cops. They announced themselves. But the left argues their view is that unmarked cops kicked the door in and opened fire on her. What do you think happens when dudes who are wearing street clothes kick a door in with guns? Yeah. Well, my friends, I bring you back in time to the Washington Post's own article from 2023. Showdown before the raid. FBI agents and prosecutors argued over Trump. Take a look at this. Prosecutors argued that new evidence suggested Trump was knowingly concealing secret documents in his Palm Beach, Florida home and urged the FBI to conduct a surprise raid at the property. But two senior FBI officials who would be in charge of leading the search resisted the plan as too combative and proposed instead to seek Trump's permission to search his property, according to the four people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe a sensitive investigation. Prosecutors ultimately prevailed in that dispute. That is to say, some in the FBI were actually like, are you nuts? You can't do this. And the prosecutors won. It was a surprise raid. Here's what the FBI says from Axios. FBI responds to Trump claim about Mar-a-Lago search. The FBI in a statement on Tuesday said that their search at former president's Mar-a-Lago residence followed standard protocol, which includes a standard policy statement limiting the use of deadly force. Limiting? They should have had a policy statement saying no one will be armed and equipped for the use of force. They are not raiding a drug dealer, murderer, gangbanger's house. It's the former president under Secret Service protection. The statement was a response to a Truth Social post from Trump. The FBI followed standard protocol, they say. Trump's allies seized on the post, et cetera, et cetera. All right, well, let's read. Julie Kelly points out with the initial document, agents brought standard issue weapons, ammo, and handcuffs, and were instructed to wear unmarked polo or collared shirts and conceal law enforcement equipment. They had a contingency plan for Trump's arrival. FBI had a medic on the scene and identified a local trauma center for anyone injured during the raid. Not only were they prepared to use lethal force, they were prepared to render medical aid in the event they harmed someone. Now, of course, here we have this. We have federal laws specifically cover former presidents and their families. Is there an exemption for the FBI? They say this is for threats against people under Secret Service. How would Secret Service have responded? What about armed FBI agents? So we've got Shipwrecked Crew, who is a lawyer for some J6er, says, when Julie Kelly says, why did they have contingency plans when he arrived? Shipwrecked Crew says, because they don't control the schedule and you always plan for contingencies. His car would have never made it to the front gate of Mar-a-Lago. The FBI would have known when his plane landed at the airport. This is just so much nonsense, but I'm sure your revenue from X and Substack is through the roof. And what if Don Jr., Barron, Melania, what if Trump, what if any of these individuals were there? What if any of these individuals were, what if there, so I believe you're not allowed to bring weapons into the building at Mar-a-Lago. What if there were guests at Mar-a-Lago? There's a bunch of random people. Okay, so I'm hanging out there, and there's people having dinner. They're members of a club. It's a private club. Dan Bongino says, plan for contingencies, such as a U.S. SS protectee and former POTUS accidentally rolling up on your unprecedented raid on a USC 1752 protected compound, concealed, by the way. I strongly suggest you ignore this ignoramus from this point on. So many dip-ish and reply guys were exposed last night. So Shipwrecked goes on to here we go. Let's grab some more of these. I think I can remember. Here we go. Dan Bongino says, this is absolutely a big deal. Don't buy the BS otherwise. It was not a standard op. The Mar-a-Lago raid was an unprecedented action with significant potential for confusion and blue-on-blue issues and conflict. It also involved competing equities between federal agencies with equal statutory claims to interrupt the other's activities. Anyone telling you otherwise is dumb, playing dumb. I've done more deconfliction with Russians in a foreign op I did for the U.S. Secret Service than the FBI did in their search warrant at MAL. Only a dumbass would pitch the it's standard paperwork line. Go serve a search warrant at the White House in the cocaine case while filling out your standard paperwork and see how that works out for you. Wake up. Bongino is right. Secret Service shows up, unmarked guys with guns on the property, and they say, we have precedent and priority. Get out of our way now, because we're dispatching dogs to search the property because you cannot just come in with guns. I'm at Mar-a-Lago. Secret Service had dogs roaming the property, sniffing around. Duh. A bunch of guys in plain clothes come onto the president's property, his home, and Secret Service now has to make a decision. If somebody sneaks in with these FBI guys in plain clothes and no one's paying attention, and they can plant a bomb or who knows what, how do we check for that? We cannot just that's why they did it in secret. So if Trump were to show up, the Secret Service likely would pull Trump back, tell the FBI, get out of our way. GTFO. Absolutely insane. So I think we have this shipwrecked crew says, let me read this from Dan Bongino first. He says, this is what happens when a guy reads a book about basketball and then he thinks he can go one-on-one with Jordan. This dude doesn't know jack-ish about the significant time the U.S. Secret Service spends on deconfliction anytime there's another law enforcement firearm at any of their USC 1752 protected areas, precisely to avoid use of force anywhere near their protectees. So tired of reply bros like this dip-ish who never contribute a single thing to debate other than cosplay as experts. To which he responded, I had that one pulled up. He says 1752 applies by its terms when a protectee is present or expected to be present. Neither was true on 8/8/22. Oh, bro, that's wrong. They had a contingency plan for his arrival, meaning they expected the possibility he would be there. This is what happens when someone who sits in a training session for a few hours thinks he's a lawyer. I'm sorry, dude. I got to go with Bongino on this one. Bongino was actually Secret Service. Practice and law are two different things. We talk about blue laws all the time. It is illegal to do certain like you can't sell cars on the weekends, right? In Virginia. We have these famous laws where it's like you can't put a pie on your windowsill on Tuesday evening, and nobody enforces any of those laws. What's on the books and what happens in real life are totally different things. He says, go look up U.S. v. Gross Clothes in D.C. and see if you can find out the name of the attorney who litigated 1752 re Pence and 1-6-1, getting the count dismissed. I can't say I was the first to the issue, but I'm confident I understand the statute better than you do. I'll put it this way. I don't know that the statute matters. Secret Service shows up to see a bunch of plainclothes guys with guns, and they're going to be like, get these guns off the property now. I don't, what else do you do? It's a private property. It's a home. Dudes with guns in a Secret Service protected location, and you have an obligation not just to protect the president, but the president's family. Say, well, but the president wasn't going to be there. What about his kids? What about anyone else in his family who's under protection? Laughably insane. The attempt to dismiss this is I can't say I'm surprised. One thing matters. You want to raid a former president and the front runner for the next election? What do? You leave your guns behind. You make a phone call and say, we are coming to serve a search warrant. We will be unarmed. Our vehicles look like this. Here's what you can expect. We will be serving the warrant. You arrive. You got yourself a legal dispute. Absolutely insane that anyone would try and justify what we are seeing with the authorization of use of lethal force. On top of this could negatively impact Mar-a-Lago as a business because the people who are club members there don't want to be at a place where the feds might show up with guns and get into a shootout. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.
Wow. I'm at a loss for words. Here at Ultra Top Secret, we study covert operations, and that's what this looks like. Anybody that thinks that sending in plainclothes detectives into a Secret Service protected area is obviously an idiot, or they're hoping for a reaction in which gunfire will be exchanged. The DOJ, I'm just at a shock. So, like I said before, we have two ways of looking at this. The lefties are saying, "Oh, it's no big deal," you know, and the people on the right are saying that this could have had the potential to go into a firefight. And the fact that the FBI had, trauma centers and medics on the scene just in case something went south is obvious that they were thinking that that this could have gone in a different direction. This whole thing, these educated idiots that are talking about, it's okay to send plainclothes detectives into Secret Service protected areas. It's just unbelievable, and that's the problem in America. First of all, this whole raid was a sham, another one of the sham kangaroo court witch hunts that this guy has had to go through. There's the court case in New York, in Georgia, the two in New York, where the DOJ is basically pulling the strings with these DAs in Georgia. Before the trial in Georgia, the DA went to the White House to get instructions, and then one of the DOJ people is directly in control of the Judge Marchand court. They are doing everything they can to try to stop Trump because they know they can't beat him. That's why they came up with these trumped up charges about him having classified materials in Mar-a-Lago. That's one more witch hunt on top of the two fake impeachments and all the fake trials. First of all, let's look at the raid. They're saying that he has materials that are classified. He was the president. He can unclassify any of those things, so they're not classified. So that is a lie. Second of all, presidents have done this all the time. Every time they leave, they take items with them to put in their presidential libraries. So the fact that they're saying that he has classified materials, that is another lie. So this whole raid to get classified materials that aren't really classified is obviously another bogus excuse to mess with this guy, to start a situation. And let me tell you something, the FBI doesn't have a good record with situations like this, a la Waco. The FBI has been gunning for Trump ever since he became a candidate. Like I said before, as soon as he became president, the first thing he did overnight was he tweeted that the FBI was surveilling him, and the media freaked out and said, that's not true. Well, we found out it was true. Everything that Trump has said, we have come to find out, it comes out true. He does this to keep his base, and so when he tells you the things that the deep state is doing, we will believe him because over and over again, it's proven to be true. He's the one that said that China released a certain something into the world, and we're finding out that that's true. Everything that this guy has said has turned out to be true. The FBI has been gunning for him even before while he was a candidate. Like I said here in Ultra Top Secret, we study covert operations, and what happened was when Trump was campaigning, the FBI was surveilling him. We know that to be true now. But what's not coming out is they were more than just surveilling him. They were sending Russian agents and other nefarious people into his circle, hoping that they would get deep so then they could pin Trump in his campaign for being with Russians or anything that they could stick on him. So they were surveilling him. They were sending agents into his orbit. It wasn't until Admiral Rogers came over from the NSA and had a meeting with Trump that he moved his headquarters to Connecticut. So what does that tell you? Let me tell you something about Trump. There's no way that he could have beaten the Clinton dynasty, the Bush dynasty. He went up against Jeb Bush in the Republican primary. The McCain dynasty without serious help in his corner. Think about that. The media does not want you to think about that. This guy's got some serious help. He's got some serious backing to have been able to get through 2 impeachments. The 24th Amendment they tried to pull on him. Trying to take the Electoral College votes from him. This fake classified Mar-a-Lago raid. This guy has got high-level backers, or he would have never made it this far. Think about that for a second. He knew that they were going to raid the Mar-a-Lago, and he was not there on purpose. We're starting to find out that Trump knows a lot more than everybody thinks, and he knows a lot more than he puts on. So think about that for a second. The FBI has been gunning for this guy for a very long time before he became campaign. Then after he won. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. If you've made it this far, please reward me with a like and subscription. We'll see you on the next Ultra Top.